Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Meeple Empire. I'm JR, and this stoic figure is Palmer once again.
¿Cómo está?
Hablo no español.
That's all I know.
So let's just jump right into it. TV and cinema, sir. TV and cinema. Last episode, we talked about the train wreck that was Geo-Storm. You said you were going to see it the following day.
Yep.
Walk me through how wrong you think I was.
How great this movie was. This movie gave me everything I was expecting.
So
it gave me special effects. It gave me mass destruction. It gave me Gerard Butler smoldering. It gave me everything I wanted. This was like Armageddon, really only with storms.
And you really didn't find it lacking in every stretch of the imagination?
No, because I got exactly what I expected.
Which was nothing.
It was just a 2-hour movie of pretty lights and images blowing up.
Then how can you tell me that you enjoyed this fucking abortion of a film? But yet, you didn't like Transformers and like Michael Bay stuff.
I love Michael Bay. This
explains it all.
I also like Transformers, so I don't know exactly who you're talking to.
Just, little nudge nudge kiss kiss, all that good shit. We got a big day tomorrow because your favorite movie of the year comes out tomorrow.
I'm actually going to give my review of Thor today. It's horrible. I would rather lay down in traffic than ever watch this movie again.
If this is how you
still not as bad as Spider-Man Homecoming.
So this being the day before it's even released, that's a bold fucking statement, and you're still gonna go see it.
I have to. I already have tickets. I can't not go to a movie on Thursday.
That would just be unacceptable. That fucking fly likes you, dude. I don't know. Like, he's totally skipping past me. He got your number. Maybe that's fucking the ghost of Christmas past to Thor.
Yeah.
Here to fuck with you.
Thor was horrible. Wait until the end of the year when I give my top 10 worst movies of the year.
I'm pretty sure the MCU is going to own 80% of that list. And then there'll be Snowman.
I haven't seen Snowman. I want to see Snowman.
Yeah, so don't I, but you wouldn't go. Oh. I did try to get people to go. I think that was on your regular movie night, that's why.
Yeah, see? I'm busy Thursdays.
Any other TV of note for you, sir?
No. I did also see Jigsaw. Jigsaw was good. I've dug the Saw franchises except for... Huh?
Franchises.
No, franchise. Except for the first movie.
Really?
I got to Saw very late. Like, I got to Saw just as Saw 2 was coming out.
Okay.
So I had to go a year with people telling me how great Saw is and how original, how great, it has such a shocking ending. So by the time I watched it, I'm like, all right, it's a good movie. But like 5-10 minutes into it, or the beginning part when, the Dread Pirate Robert and the other guy wake up chained to the floor, and there's a dead guy in the middle. I'm just sitting there, I'm like, the dead guy's alive. Like, that's the whole twist of this movie, is the dead guy's alive. And it was. So, like, it was just a year of hype to a movie that, while I thought was good, didn't need all the hype behind it. Like, so, but since then, like, I've really dug most of the Saw movies. I don't think there's been one since then that I haven't really liked. They're all very samey. They're all very, like, you go there to see what traps or concoctions he's going to have them in.
I'll be honest with you. I took the girls to go see this. I believe we went on Saturday night. This was kind of like a last minute before the Halloweeny thing, and we went to go see it, and I kind of went in with an open mind because the last few have for me progressively just been less and less entertaining for me.
Okay.
So I kind of went in just completely blank, and I found that although there were obvious, and spoiler alert here, although there were obvious like little tidbits, like when she shows the trap that was never found, and then all of a sudden the trap's inside, like there were obvious pointers to the fact that what you're viewing was actually something from way back played into today. Even though those things existed, it didn't really like drive it home until it was him and the cop in the room and everything like literally, you know, basically just came out and unfolded.
I mean, that's one of the things the movie franchise has been able to do rather well. I know you'll have people out there like, I guessed every single ending, or I've always seen the end coming. Like this does very well at giving you all the clues in the movie, and at sometimes just glossing over them. Like I thought about it after walking out. Like I had guessed the ending of the movie to a point. Like during the movie, I was watching it, and I kind of guessed that all these were almost like flashbacks. And then I kind of moved on from that theory to Jigsaw working with somebody else. And while I was right on both things, I had kind of moved on from one theory and replaced it with the other as opposed to linking them together.
Yeah, if I was to have pulled anything away whilst watching it, it's I really got caught up in the fact that it was believable to me that it could have been her.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's the best part about this.
And that kind of, you know, when you're like literally 2 minutes before the big reveal starting to piece it together, you know, I think it executed very well for what it was. I think it was a nice reintroduction to the franchise because it has been, I think, like 7 years since the last film.
It's been like 3.
I thought it was 2010.
It's definitely not been 7 years. I'm gonna look it up right now because there is no way that I was gonna.
I'm telling you, it's been a.
Because I remember, I mean, the last one came out. The last one came out when they were still doing that. That like I Want to Be a Scream Queens reality show, and the winner that year got a part in. So I'll be damned. 2010.
Yeah, like I said, it's been a significant amount of time since.
So that's even better. But yeah, I mean the fact that
it was a nice reintroduction.
Yeah, because the series never strays from what it is. Like it knows what it is and it does it well. But it was kind like every year it was kind of like, all right, we're gonna watch this again. So it was nice to have a breather to kind of come back to it without really beating it to death like they had been.
I getcha. Now tomorrow's Thor. Just a little precursor to next week. Something I kind of wanted to touch upon. I'm not gonna bog us down here, but we have shows like The Gifted. You have Inhumans. You have The Runaways. You have a whole series of, you know, episodic television style entries into the Marvel universe.
Right.
So
Inhumans sucks.
We'll discuss this after.
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks so much that IMAX said they wouldn't even fund another television product. It sucks so much that when reporters ask Marvel TV heads, like, is there going to be a second season? They will literally go running into traffic to avoid answering the question. It sucks so much that today they announced they were supposed to do a New Warriors show on Freeform. And now that is not happening on Freeform, that they actually have to shop this TV series somewhere else because it was in production. They've hired people. They have hired a cast, but it wasn't being filmed yet. That they were like, look, that train wreck of Inhumans, we really don't want to go anywhere near another show. But they already have Cloak and Dagger kind of done and ready to premiere. So hopefully Cloak and Dagger is good.
We're going to steer away from the rest of this train wreck, and we'll pick up with that next week.
It sucks so much that it should just be called Inhumans Homecoming.
Wow. That's fucking deep. So, we'll move on, jump into comics. What's going on? What's going on this week? Keep in mind, next week I'll actually have the opportunity to rejoin the Mature Minute. So I'll have my moment in the limelight. But in the meantime,
nothing new in comics this week. There's really not much.
Nothing of note?
No. I mean, it's the first week of a month. There's really nothing until the end of the month when Doomsday Clock comes out. It's all just coasting by until then.
I don't know. We had they revamped Robotech. I believe this was
Nobody reads that crap.
The third book. Fuck you. This was the third book.
Fourth.
Is it the fourth?
Yep.
I got them all. I got all the covers. I'm really digging the fact that they have the variant that's the old Harmony Gold bubble with the figures. I'm actually gonna pull some of those out, and one of these days I'll kind of put them up here. I'll put the book next to the actual toy because I'm that fucking nerd who saved his 1980s fucking toy still in the bubble for my Robotech. But you had that Voltron, the Legendary Defender. That was today. I mean, nothing huge, but
nothing that
every week you keep giving me a bigger and bigger stack of books. So
this week was smaller. I mean, I know you've heard that a lot in your life, but
I'm going to allow that to pass. I'm just going to let you get away with that one. So, moving on from cinema, moving on from comics, we'll get into board games and tabletop. Anything new and exciting in that front?
No. I finally had the chance to play Mansions of Madness because someone was too busy to play it.
Someone was supposed to be entertaining their Californian friends, so someone else made plans.
That's not my fault. It's a great game.
Yes.
Great game.
And you got to play it, and now I still got to wait to fucking play the damn thing.
Yeah, let's go. Chop, chop.
I'm fucking real. So, did you guys win?
Very Cthulhu. No, of course not.
What do you mean, course not?
No one wins at co-op games. You just try and do better every time. No one wins at co-op games.
So, does Mansions of Madness have a traitor?
No, just really sucky dice rollers.
So out of all your players on set, that was what, last Sunday?
Yeah.
Who was the suckiest of rollers?
Oh, Beth. Somehow rolling on 5 dice, needing only 1 to pass. Fail. 5 dice. 5.
If I don't remember correctly, I'm pretty sure
5 dice. It's a 6-sided dice, so you have 2 chances of passing. Technically 3 because you can change, if you have a clue, you can change the magnifying glass. So that's a 50% ratio on every dice, times 5.
So, you weren't there, and I'm going to throw it back again, show some love to our compatriots there over at Rolling Outlaw, but you weren't there for the time we played. We did a playthrough of Rum and Bones.
Yep.
And I kid you not, you had to pick a point and then roll to get across.
Yes, the grapple.
Yeah, she fell in the water, I think, 3 times in a row. Handed me the dice. I dropped her in the water. I think she spent more time in that game inside the water between boats than she did actually engaging in anything that was going on. Poor girl. But, I did kind of... I mean, I know that there's nothing really of note. We got blasted last week. I did kind of want to take note and show some love towards a couple of things that stood out to me. Again, we're shooting the day after Halloween.
Yes.
And
All Saints Day.
All Saints Day. The day after Hallows Eve. Or Hallows Day. Or Hallows whatever. All those things. Yeah, I just fucking totally atrocity that one up. But, I wanted to first throw some love at Blood and Plunder by Firelock Games. Now, Firelock Games is a historical 28mm pirate game. It has fucking pirate ships, people. If you're playing any type of miniature tabletop game and you don't want to fucking play with pirate ships, you need fucking help. And the reason I kind of just wanted to take a note, because again, I wanted to, once the pirate ships were assembled and painted, kind of show them off a little.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing this a little bit prematurely because...
That's what your wife said.
Fucking asshole. Halloween, get an email. Now, I backed their Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
For their it's basically an expansion that brings 2 other tribes, if you will, into their world with some expanded rules. Get an email from them, and they took the time to put together a 3-page treasure hunt mission and just give that away for free to any owner, player, whatever, etc. via their Facebook. They sent it out to the Kickstarter backers. It was just, this is the thing that drives me and really makes me feel like backing independence is just a long-term payoff. It's companies like this that, they've got a unique game. They're the only one that I know of that's doing it. The quality of their miniatures and the pirate ships is just fantastic. It's still relatively new, per se, but to see that they take the time and the effort to just do something like that, just a simple, happy Halloween, be safe, here's 3 pages, go out and have some fun. That, to me, makes the value that you invest into these types of games and these companies all worth it. In the case of like your bigger companies like GW, even they, on the random, they may do something like that, and it's always stuff you have to go exclusively to a Warhammer world or a GW store. Whereas, and I mean, yeah, that's nice, that's all well and good. I'm a sucker, I stand in line and I do those things. It's just really nice to receive these types of things. Admittedly, my stuff isn't ready. I don't have any tabletop time with it. And I'm looking forward to, once the pirate ships are assembled, giving this a whirl. Because it's got, from the looks of it, it's got that unique, almost, because it's got like the same type of like movement gauges that you get in the that fucking horrible Star Wars.
X-Wing?
Thank you. It's got those curved, so it seems like wind and a few other, things play a part in how you move your ships and the distances and etc.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it looked really cool. It sucked me right in. I had to have it. I started out by ordering a couple of pirate ships and a starter set. Then I saw that they had this Kickstarter. The Kickstarter had brought both tribes. I ended up backing it. I believe it was a captain's pledge. So it was one of each. You get the option, one of each starter. But, I mean, like I said, it's the kind of thing where you put your money out there. It's, with every other game I'm playing now, it's always there, but it's not always front-running on the tabletop. Having something like that come through, it makes me, like, driven to want to get these on the table and enjoy stuff like that. So kudos to you, Firelock. That was fantastic, and it was much appreciated. Another instance of that is, this is something I bought into. I failed miserably at taking off the decal. It was something I wanted to...
You bought a box?
This is called Hunt a Killer.
Okay.
Okay, it's a subscription service similar to Loot Crate.
Okay.
Where basically every month they send you a box that comes with some materials that allows you to be like a sleuth and try to hunt a virtual killer. And I know you're looking at me like that, but fuck you. For a horror fan, it seemed very intriguing. Because I'm the type of person that if I plow through something, I'm just going to be fucking chomping at the bit. I've purchased them, and I've let a couple of months build up because I wanted to be able to go into this and just tear through it and keep moving and moving and moving, rather than running into an instance of these come once a month. 2 days in, I've completed everything that I think I can out of it, and now I gotta wait 29 days for the next box. This was another instance like Blood and Plunder. Yesterday afternoon, get a personalized Facebook message with a crime scene similar to something you'd see in a CSI show, with a question: is it a murder or a suicide? You simply answered the question. It told you if you were right or wrong in the whys. And then they had some free coupons in there for percentage off on other products and things like that. I don't know when I will eventually get around to opening these. I want to collect a couple more to give it a whirl. But it's something, you know, if there's a few people who wanted to see us navigate and actually record all the different steps and everything we see in a spoiler-filled way, I would definitely be open to that. But again, it was Halloween. My kids are older, so I don't get an excuse to go out and trick or treat anymore. So we pretty much sat home and watched scary movies. And it was little things like this, you know, getting the Happy Halloween mission and a Happy Halloween text. They definitely kind of recaptured some of that Halloween spirit that gets lost once I can't use my kids anymore as an excuse to go out and get free candy.
The Butler did it.
You would. Anything you have to add to board games and anything like that?
I don't have anything really to add, but I will make a note so that way when you're rewatching this afterwards, you'll remember. Don't forget to blur out your address.
Like I said, I failed miserably trying to deal with that. Last week we went into a really good discussion about your friendly local gaming stores, how price of admission and big box prices kind of impact the game store, and how important community was. Whereas this has been a kind of lighter week, I kind of wanted to expound upon that and get a little bit more of your feedback. And I wanted to aim this at Kickstarter, you know, especially where I talk about Blood and Plunder here. And Blood and Plunder was something that I had found via Kickstarter. I found it as a Kickstarter. I realized they had existing products. I went out and purchased some of those products, and then still found myself backing the Kickstarter. What's your impression on the impact that Kickstarter has on a friendly local gaming store, especially whereas you have, you know, you're in a position where you're managing one. You know, you have games that otherwise would normally come out on your shelves, aka the Zombicide. You have Rising Sun, which is another Cool Mini or Not property. You have Resident Evil 2, which is a Steam Forged game property. I mean, the list could go on and on and on. You know, there are multiple game companies out there that are the same properties that they're bringing to the FLGS's shelves are properties that they're kickstarting as well. And in the instance of the Kickstarters, you know, you have Kickstarter goals and perks and things that you're getting for kickstarting it.
Yeah.
How does that impact your sales and just the overall experience and marketability of these games once you've gone post Kickstarter and now, you know, they're on your shelves?
Well, it's simple. If I know a game has been kickstarted, I don't order it. I will take it as a special order if someone comes in and wants to order it, but I will not stock it on the shelf, because the percentages of people that would have sought this game out, that would have known about this game, if they wanted it, they would have backed the Kickstarter. They're not going to wait for it to get to the store. So quite simply, if I have the choice, sometimes I don't. If I have the choice, I won't stock the game. Now, if there's expansions that they do that are post Kickstarter, like Cool Mini or Not, supposedly their new paradigm is we're going to put up the base games. Yeah, we're going to have Kickstarted extras, but any expansions will only be through the game store. Then I'll order the Zombicide expansions. You know, if it was something that was not able to be gotten on the Kickstarter, because then I'll have people coming in looking for it.
Now, how helpful is it when some of these Kickstarters from the bigger companies, aka Cool Mini or not, how helpful is it that they're offering a retailer's tier in the Kickstarter stage?
It's nice because then I have the ability to offer everything to my customers, but it's a matter of getting to my customer before they back it on Kickstarter. So so for the Cool Mini or Not, you have to order 6 copies as a retailer. I think it was 6, might have been 5, but you had to order 5 or 6 copies of the new Zombicide as a retailer. And you also had to promise that if somebody bought the game, you gave them all the Kickstarted stuff, all the exclusives, which I'm fine with. I'm fine with giving somebody a really good deal for the price that they're paying. But it was a matter of I have to get to the people I know who play Zombicide before they back it, because they'll just automatically back it. And, you know, if I can at least get 3 of those copies pre-ordered and I'm only sitting on 2 copies, then I can, in my mind, I can make the argument, all right, I've already made some money on this, you know, and at least when people come in, I'll be like, look, you know, for that one price, you get the game, you get this, 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 you get this.
I mean, I know in my instance, I generally, before I kickstart anything, I come in and talk to you about it. Like, hey, look, I'm looking at this. They do have a retail option. I think there's only been one instance to date where you told me to pick it up off the Kickstarter because it just wasn't something that you know had interested the store, and that was with giant killer robots.
Yep.
I know that particular box did have a high price point of entry, but you did get a shitload in that box.
So actually, this kind of circles back to our thing last week of price point and what you get. So last week I kind of railed against games that were charging $100, and I was like, look, you know, I don't care how detailed this game is, you cannot feasibly tell me that it's worth $100. In the game market as it stands right now with all their pricing, Mansions of Madness is a $100 game. The game is phenomenal. I love it. Is it worth $100? In the general marketplace that board games is, yeah, it's kind of worth the $100. But that's because there are $100 games out there that suck. And this is kind of worth it. That being said, you always have the excuse of, well, we got to pay the developers, we got to pay the people in the company. You know, we have to make money on all of the molds that we make that take time. Like, after you make the mold, yeah, you don't have to remake it, but you have to make the money back on making that mold. That argument, all those arguments to me go out the window when you have something like CMON, where it's like, Zombicide is $100, or the new one's $125. But for the most part, Zombicide was $100 to $125 retail. That was the suggested retail price by CMON.
Well, the Green Horde was $120.
Green Horde is $120. That's the suggested retail price by CMON.
Mm-hmm.
That is the price that you would also kickstart it as a consumer.
Yes.
Now, you got a lot of stuff in a base game. Zombicide comes with tons of stuff in a base game. And that's great. However, then, for no additional cost, they will start adding in stuff, depending upon how many people back it. So, I think by the time everything was said and done, especially for the Green Horde, you almost doubled the minis that you were getting for the $120.
At the Green Horde, I think on miniatures alone, I think it
You're
came
paying
down,
less than $1 a miniature.
Yeah, I think it came down to less than $1 a miniature based on that $120 price point. Once you had calculated in, because that campaign had kicked in over 4 mil.
Yeah.
And I think 4 million was the final stretch goal.
Yeah, actually,
for
you got a giant box and everything fit inside that
Yeah.
box. So it broke down to less than $1 a mini. To me, that negates any argument from here on out as to why the base game should be $120. Because you were able to fill in all that stuff. And I love the fact that they did it. I love the fact that they kept adding in stuff. Because then I had people on the fence that love mini games, that love minis, that I could go to and say, look, you're only paying $1 a mini. And they were able to kind of
justify
it that way.
Yep.
So that being said, like, again, I think there's room to come down in some of these game prices. And as far as Kickstarter is great for the independent people, the ones that are trying to get a foothold in. I don't really like it. It's been acceptable in gaming, and it's weird to me because comics have tried this, and people have kind of railed against it. Independence, it's a great idea to get funding for that project. But once you have a base and have become a relevant company in that marketplace, you know, now you're kind of pushing out the people who use Kickstarter for what it should be, rather than now you're a company, a decent sized company that shouldn't be relying on Kickstarter, who is just relying on Kickstarter so they don't have to take any financial costs.
No, I think that's
Archie tried doing that Archie tried doing that like a year or two ago with comics, and the community just railed against them. They're like, you're an actual comic publisher, a very significant comic publisher. This isn't the vehicle to.
No, and I think that's kind of what bothers me at this point with Cool Mini or Not. For as much as I love what Cool Mini or Not's doing, I love their games. I don't only backed it once, but I took 2 of the backings from you for the Green Horde. I mean, do they really need Kickstarter?
No.
You got to figure the Green Horde and what was it? Was it Rising Sun, I believe? That was their 2 last Kickstarters that they ran. Combined, I think they both broke 4 million.
Yeah.
So I mean, come on, you pulled in 8 million off a Kickstarter in 1 year, 1 calendar year. Is this really? Do you really need this model?
And I mean, you can kind of use that similar model. I don't know how it'd work out. You can kind of use a similar model just to get the game stores to buy into this. Like if Simon did a Kickstarter thing, but it was only retailers. So say you do Zombicide the same way. It's only retailers can order this. They have to order 5 copies of the game, and they'll start unlocking stuff too. So if 20 retailers order whatever, you know, you keep that kind of monetary based add-ons. Well, now if I know that someone has to come to the retail store to get it, even if again, like I like and I want them to hold retailers accountable. And anyone out there, if a retailer bought into the Green Horde Kickstarter and you go and buy Green Horde from them and you don't get the 100 to 200 extra minis, I would report them to Simon.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it is such a great idea to have these extras that you didn't initially think about when you ordered it. So it's a nice surprise. And again, it makes the value there. So if it's only available to retailers initially, maybe then I buy a few extra. You know, maybe I buy a second tier because I know 10 people that play that play Zombicide, they all back it on Kickstarter. But if they can't back it, I'm going to buy those 10 copies from my shelf, and I'm going to sell it to them. The problem is, obviously, CMON makes more money selling directly to the consumer.
Like I said, I see Kickstarter being problematic in the essence of, and I hate to keep railing on Cool Mini or not, considering I love what they do, but, you know, in that instance, whereas then I look at, you know, independent companies, like some random, again, and I'll kickstart stuff that's generally out of the country, things I don't think you're ever going to get. So you have, what is it? It was Six-Sided Lucidity, I believe. Australian-based dice kind of horror dream game.
Okay.
Completely random. It was the kind of thing, it was up on Kickstarter, $50 for a deluxe pledge. You know, cheap. And that includes shipping from Australia. So it was the kind of thing where, you know, just kind of perusing through, you come across, it looks like an intriguing kind of idea. You see that it was funded in under a day. You know, what the hell?
Yeah.
I'll take that risk and I'll throw into it. But again, these are smaller companies that are out there. They're just kicking off, getting their legs underneath them. You know, whereas you see other instances out there where it seems like a company will use Kickstarter 2 or 3 times, and once they've gained that traction,
right,
they tend to just, you know what, I'm going to leave Kickstarter for what Kickstarter was designed.
Yeah.
They step away, and then they go on and they take on production, you know, the way that production should be. You know, they go through the normal process and bring games to the regular market. You know, at what point does Kickstarter do as much harm as it does good? Is kind of, I guess, really where I'm kind of on the fence with this a little bit. And, you know, knowing that I just logged into my Kickstarter and realized, like, I'm waiting on, you know, I think 18 Kickstarters that I've backed, you know, in the last couple of years. And again, like we had talked about that RPG that didn't require a DM. I believe it was called Expedition. Okay. They had a small expansion. It was literally $10. Like, I already have the core. Why am I not going to put $10 in a Kickstarter and hope for the best? Yeah. You know? So it's like, I've backed a lot of things that are like that. $10, $20, $30. You know, see what happens. If you get them, you get them. If you don't lose sleep over it. It's not like, you know, taking the risk on a newcomer or a new kid to the block. Like, in a way, you know, Giant Killer Robots did kind of have that ominous almost, are we going to be okay? However, a lot of big names.
I was going to say it was being produced by an offshoot of Weta, right? So it doesn't,
I believe so.
Yeah, so that, I mean, I would have been fine with that.
At $150 buy-in?
No, I know, but they have some name recognition. Like a good, you know, the reverse of that coin is the Evil Dead 2 board game, which was initially a Kickstarter. Still hasn't come out. Last I checked, it still hadn't gone out to Kickstarter backers yet. And that was supposed to be the spring. And they kept pushing it back, and then they pushed it back to October. I haven't checked again to see if they've done it, but I don't think they have, because I haven't heard any other like update. So like that is an instance where I'd be like, I haven't seen anyone kind of posting on it. But I mean, and again, but there are a couple of big game names that are having issues with follow through. Like look at Gloomhaven. No, they went through.
They did their first Kickstarter. Their first Kickstarter was a smashing success.
Yeah, and they sent out the product.
They did a second printing.
Yeah.
That second printing Kickstarter was supposed to be in houses October. Now that second one, those still have not shipped.
Yeah, I know they haven't shipped because I'm waiting on the ones that I ordered.
No, I'm just saying.
But I mean, so the fact though that they like this just seems like a production issue right now, which is kind of out of their hands.
with a lot of stuff coming from China, I understand. You go against, like, the Chinese New Year, they shut down, I think, all of February.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of things with getting the stuff from overseas to us.
Yeah.
That becomes problematic.
So the fact that Gloomhaven pushed out the first print, it just leads me to believe, like, if the second was supposed to be out in October, and people get it in November, maybe even the beginning of December, to me, like, that's not a big deal, because that's board games. Like, board games religiously don't really ever have a set date because of the fluctuations like that. And even then, like, some that have a set date, it gets changed once, it gets changed twice. Usually by, like, the second or third date, it's on time at that point. But so, like, the second thing of Gloomhaven, if it didn't get to everyone, or if it didn't ship to anyone, but it does so, like, in the next 3 weeks or so, to me, that's kind of par for the course for board games, especially games, because all the pieces are being made out of, like you said, China.
Like I said, I watch Amazon.
Yeah.
You have Folklore Affliction. You have Gloomhaven. What the heck was this? The Archon, I believe, was one of them. So there's a bunch of they did very well. So they did second prints, and I just pay attention. And Amazon's usually a good indicator.
Yeah.
Because again, Amazon has those people that are quote unquote fulfillments. So they wait till they get them, then they'll shift them. So you can kind of gauge timing.
Yeah.
Question for you guys out there: what type of games are you kickstarting, and what's your opinion? You know, how do you think Kickstarter is affecting, you know, your interactions at the FLGS versus just going? And are you going to Kickstarter, or are you communicating with your gaming store to see if they are, you know, supporting these games on that, you know, retailer level? It was pretty much all I had, you know, that I really kind of wanted to compound upon versus last week. I know we had a really good conversation last week. I kind of think that the whole Kickstarter really is like another level of the equation here. Anything else you'd like to discuss this week?
No, I'm good.
Okay, well, as like with all things, if you like what you see, please comment, rate, and or subscribe. I'm JR. This character is Palmer, saying thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next week.
See you.